You are listening to All Burgundy and Gold Everything, powered by the Urban Sports Scene and Fox Sports Radio, 96.9 FM and 1340 AM. Hopewell, Virginia hosts are myself, Wole, and the homie Glenn. Mo and Ray are out, but we are not alone. We also have Fox Sports Radio Commanders reporter Felix Trammell on the show. What's going on, Felix?
What's up, brothers? How y'all doing tonight?
Doing well, man. How you feeling, brother?
I'm good.
Look, man,
it's football season.
I know, bro. Everybody get an actual game. I know folks be hating on preseason, but I'm all about competition. And I know you see them practicing against each other, and that's cool. But I like when you going against another man who ain't sharing no locker room with you or nothing. Oh. This is your enemy, and you going against them. I love it.
It is good to be able to hit somebody else, right? That's what you tell everybody. It is totally good to hit somebody else in a different color. For however long you do it, whether it's two plays, one series, three series, whatever case may be, it is good to hit somebody else.
Right. Absolutely. Trust me, the team's ready for it too.
Man. All right, cool, man. Cool. We don't get into all that, but we got to tackle some particulars. Subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, iTunes, and Google Podcasts. Just search All Burgundy and Go Everything. Also, tweet us at ABG_everything and hit us up on IG at ABG_everything. And like our All Burgundy and Go Everything Facebook page. Hey, do not forget to subscribe to our All Burgundy and Go Everything YouTube channel as well. You're looking at it right now, so make sure you subscribe to it. I ain't playing either. All right, it's time for the pregame. Here's what we have on tap. We're going to talk about it, man. Commanders got their first preseason game against the Cleveland Browns. Felix, 7:30, it goes down. Washington travels all the way They traveling to Cleveland to take on the Browns. From all reports, Chase Young looks ready. He looks right. You know what I mean? Will we get some Chase Young Friday? And if so, how many series?
For me, I think the starting line might play one series. They're too locked in right now to be out there, especially Payne coming off that toe. They've been kind of slow walking Payne, but Sweat and Young are in exceptional form. I mean, they look hungry. So I think they will give them a series, but there's a lot of defensive line battles that are going on that's going to be real tough. So I think a lot of those second, third string guys are going to get a lot of the bump. But I think Chase and Montez and that starting line get one series.
Wow. We haven't seen Chase Young. We've only seen clips, Twitter, from all the reporters. Everybody's amped about Chase. What makes Chase right now look so much better than years before?
I think he's just had a revelation. I think the last 2 years have been tough on him. And I think he's seen what he needs to do now. And he's close to his original self. And we never really got to see his original self because that 2020 year was so weird. The whole COVID, the no preseason, everything was so, separated. The team was never really, really, really together. That COVID year was weird. So we've never really seen Chase Young. And so I think now you're actually seeing the Chase Young that was drafted in 2020. So I that's why I feel it's just different. He just looks healthy. He looks excited. He's been the energy piece of that defense since he's been here. Yeah. And that's been that missing link. He's providing that and people follow that. So I think that's the biggest thing. This is his first real season that he's had being in the league. And people think about, well, he's been there for 4 years. COVID year was crazy. 2021 was still COVID-ish. That was still very weird. And then he got hurt. And then he got seriously hurt. Then he was rehabbing last year. So I think he's a fully healthy Chase Young is just different.
I'm gonna ask this. I was gonna ask a question for you, but can I go ahead?
I'm gonna ask you, Chase. But Chase Young question. I'm gonna chase. Look, I'm not coming at him.
I know. I got you, Glenn. I ain't say nothing, Glenn. I ain't saying nothing.
Fundamentally, right? Fundamentally, have you seen a tweak in his fundamental play at defense? We know that he sometimes has gone off script, but has he been able to play fundamentally within the Jack Del Rio system?
Yes. He did a lot of hero ball, and as a football guy, he would do the same move, that same reach around. He's got a counter now. I'm not going to share it, but he does have a counter now.
That's good.
Other than just speed, but he's playing what Jack Del Rio wants him to play, and I know a lot of people are like, well, he doesn't get all the sacks, and then a lot of people line people up different plays. Jack Del Rio lines you up in the same spot, and there's a expectation of what you're supposed to do. And fundamentally, his feet look better. He's not just bull rushing. He's not just rushing on the edge. He's actually setting people up. There's counter moves. Like I said, his feet look cleaner. So his bend looks a little bit better. Like, I think when he mentioned when we interviewed him, talking about going back to Ohio State and working with Coach Larry Johnson, that meant a lot to him. And what meant a lot to him more was that Montez was there with him. Okay. And those two did a lot of stuff together. So those two are very tight. They're very tight. And every time I talk to one, the first thing to do is mention the other. So I think those combinations and him going back with Larry Johnson and really going in the lab and him working with the Von Miller stuff is going to pay dividends this season. So to answer your question, Glenn, his fundamentals look a lot better. He's not just trying to be an athlete. He's trying to be a football player, which is two different things.
Definitely. And it also helps out when you don't get paid like you want to get paid too. And this is a contract year.
Hey,
Montez on the same boat though.
I mean, Montez got the 5th year, but I mean, they saw what Payne did. They said, prove it. Payne proved it. So, I mean, and the money is there to sign both people.
I agree.
If anybody starts to act crazy, the money is there to sign both. So not even go down that route where it's got to be one or the other.
That's what I've been telling folks. Everybody keeps saying you got to choose one. I said, if both of them ball out, both of them get in the bag, and they're going to be on this team.
Because you can franchise one and sign the other. Like, there's so many ways of doing it.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, I agree.
It's doable, and the plan is still to have both of them here.
Yes,
so,
already. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Glenn.
No, I'm good. No, I just agree with you. The plan is to have both of them here, and I think this organization with all the changes need both of them here.
Yes, absolutely. And I think from the new ownership side, they see that Chase is that visual front of the team. Him and Terry are essentially your front two people. So you need both of them there. And that's how you market your team. So
and allows you to do it if your quarterback, if your rookie quarterback is still on that rookie deal. So if it works out, then you're definitely able to keep both of them. So Felix, you mentioned like, those two may not play, a lot, maybe play like a snap or whatever. But for you, what will you be keying on from this game, being the first preseason game?
One, I want to see a couple drives out of the offense.
Okay.
And only reason I'm saying that is continuity of the offensive line, because there's a lot of new pieces, people playing in a new position. So realistically, Leno is your only guy that's playing in the same position from last year, like strong. So you're getting a lot of new pieces. So you just want to see them work together, because they have had times where they've done very well against a top 3 defensive line. Then they had times when they've been obliterated, which is football. Yeah. So that's what I'm looking for, is continuity of the offensive line. They're underrated run blockers. And I think the enemy's not going to show much. Of course not. But there's going to be some schematic things I'm looking for, and there's more gap style running scheme that EB employs versus the zone. Well, he does do some zone, but stretch zone and stuff like that. So I want to see continuity of the offensive line. That's what I'm looking for. Maybe boring, but offensive line matters in December.
No, it definitely matters. I guess my follow-up question to that is, because you're right, everything is very new. And I actually think, just like we talk about the quarterback, maybe needing some work. A lot of people would like to see him do a whole quarter in his preseason game. I think the offensive line is the same way. I know people are scared of injury. They're so scared of injury, and I'm like, you can get hurt walking the street. You can get hurt walking down the stairs. You get hurt in the wreck. It doesn't matter. You can get hurt anytime. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't have an issue with like seeing these dudes get some work in the preseason, because, like you said, everybody's playing a new position. You got Cosme from tackle to guard now. Like Sadiq Charles and Chris Paul are fighting for that guard position as well. Leno's, like you said, the only vet that's been the standstill from last year, and you brought in Wiley from Kansas City, and you got the center Gates from the Giants. So it's fairly new. So I just feel like they can get some work too. I wouldn't mind having all other than like the skill positions, the offensive line and the quarterback playing a little bit longer. I want to know your thoughts about that. Oh, Glenn, you want to say something?
Yeah, I agree with both of you guys. Let him play a quarter.
Yeah,
let him play a quarter. I mean,
I don't think
depends on how the
receivers had to, but yeah.
Yeah, the receiver with the O-line and the quarterback, because in the running back, it builds that continuity. And you know, as offensive line, you want to see your offensive line work with each other. You want to see them be able to move the ball down the field. You want to see how makes even though it's going to be vanilla basic checks or basic check off, how they can protect them. You want to be able to see the offense. One series or two series doesn't give you a bigger picture, especially when you only have 3 preseason games now. So we already know the third one is going to be a watch. So it's essentially you only have 2 preseason games to make sure that your team is where it needs to be at. So this one is very important, and the next one will be as equally as important for a young quarterback and his offensive line to be cohesive.
How concerned are you with the offensive line, Felix? For real? Do you see it? Do you see potential?
My biggest thing is depth.
Okay.
It's one injury away. And the only person I feel that could come in right away and you won't get a drop off is Lucas. If Lucas happens to come in and needs to play right tackle,
gotcha.
I don't feel concerned about that. But if we go past Gates and we go past Cosby and we go past, we start, that drop off is severe. So that would be my concern with the offensive line. I think they're not a top 10 offensive line. I'll clear that up now. And there's only one lineman I would say in 5 years I would want to see on this team, and that would be Cosby.
Yeah.
Like as a true NFL bona fide starter would be Cosby.
Yeah.
So, but into that, I think the enemy is gonna scheme them well. All right, and I think a lot of times our line was put in bad spots last year. With under Turner's offense, very very predictable runs out of run sets, very predictable 7-step drops on passing downs with people who are not good at that. So it invited disaster. I mean, you can only flirt with it so long before you invite disaster. And if you don't have a supreme playmaker at quarterback to get you out of those problems, that's what is going to compound. And that's why the offense was always grinding to get to 17 points. It was like pulling teeth to get to 17. And realistically, if you could get to 24, they probably are 11-win team. If you could just get to 24, but the team could never get to 24 because the offense was such a grind. So I think that's the biggest thing for me is that offensive line depth. But I think Coach Bieniemy will scheme it better. His run sets are better. The screen's going to help. They do that's the one thing I love about his offense is how he gets to screens.
That's good.
Like how he gets to them. We're not going to see all of it, but just those sort of things. So that would be my one concern with the offensive line would be depth. That would really be me. If we go past that first 5 and 6 with Lucas, I would start to worry.
So guard then, this is the left guard position, left guard spot. Who is your front runner between Sadiq Charles and Chris Paul? Because I'm hearing a lot of stuff about
Charles got the position out right away.
Yeah.
But it was some struggles. But you would have struggles lined up against Jonathan Allen every day.
Of course.
Paul physically is better for guard because Charles is a little smaller. Arms are a little shorter. But Charles has more experience than Chris Paul does. Paul barely played last year. So I think that's the biggest thing. And that lends itself to a problem because Leno's not the strongest left tackle. And if your left guard isn't strong too, now that's a whole side of the line that you got to worry about. Because I believe the Cosby side will be fine.
I think so too.
Cosby is doing great at guard. That was the move that should have happened, even though I was against it as a Texas guy. But that's the move that should have happened.
It's good though.
Wiley is Wiley. It's okay. But and Gates is fine. I like Gates. Gates brings an attitude.
Okay, that's good to know.
So right now, if I have to take a bet right now, game 1, Charles would be that person. But I think they want Paul to do it because Paul is physically more imposing.
Does he play meaner? Does he play mean? You can be big, but you play mean?
Neither one of them are mean to me.
So they're just about the same then.
They're about the same.
Yeah.
I mean, but Paul is a better run blocker, though. Paul is a better run blocker. Charles is better on those screens. So there's your 50-50. Because if you're going to do a lot of screens, Charles and his feet will get you there.
Then Charles.
So who's better when it comes to drop back? protection, because that's one of the big keys for me. When I look at the offensive line, I want to be, can they keep my quarterback? I'm not just talking about Sam Howell, I'm talking about in general. Can they keep the quarterback upright? Will they lose what they get when you against speed rushers, when you against guys when you're playing different positions, or are they a liability when it comes to a young quarterback Sam Howell and being him dropping back? I know that the objective is to get the ball out of his hands quickly, but there are some times that they are covered, what we call coverage sacks, where he can't get the ball out of his hands, and it's like it's open up on a quarterback season.
That's true.
Charles would be the better drop back pass rusher because he's a tackle. Yeah. Because remember at LSU he was a tackle. So he played tackle against SEC ends. Yeah. So he's a better passer because in one-on-ones he's held his own. Yeah. He's held his own against Allen and Payne. So it's not like he's getting ultimate just hip tossed out the way. Yeah. He's holding his own. So straight drop back passing would be Charles. So that's why I would say two things for Charles, one for Paul. Paul's the better downhill power blocker in a run game, but then Charles is better on screens, and Charles would be better on a straight drop back pass if we're doing 5 to 7 step drops.
Yeah. See, I like Sadiq Charles. I like a lot of people, I think a lot of people want Chris Paul to win the job. I think they just want him to. But I do like Sadiq Charles. But also I'm biased though, because you made a trade for Trent Williams. So I'm like, you're in the Trent Williams trade, you better play. So that's just how I look at it. Like I'm salty about that. So I'm like, if you're in a trade, you better play. Like I need to know that they got something out of that. Like I'm not calling this kid all world, but you gotta get something, you gotta get a starter out of that. You can't trade one of the best players of our lifetime. Like I'll say it, like he's the tackle, but one of our best players of our lifetime for nothing. Like you gotta. So Charles better play. That's how. Like if I'm critiquing Ron, he better play. Yeah, he better play. I'm sorry. Like
Trent's a future Hall of Famer.
Yeah, like he better play. Like that's how I look at it.
Trent's the first ballot.
That's what I'm saying. Like
first ballot.
And you got a name with Trent. Like you forever will be linked to Trent. Like Sadiq Charles will forever be linked to Trent Williams. So to me, I'm like, you better play. Like you don't gotta play tackle, bro, but you better play.
Guys,
you know what I'm saying? So, but so also Felix, Glenn, you want to ask this next question?
I got you. Yeah, who in your mind needs a good first impression? Who in your mind needs a good first impression?
I wrote about this. You know who's really on the hot seat and people aren't talking about it? Benjamin St-Juste.
Ooh, I like that one. Everybody talking about his good camp too. I want to hear that.
The reason being, Fuller had a great season by any metric. I agree, man. With the exception of the Browns game, I agree, bro. Fuller played his butt off. So you can't say anything about Fuller.
Yeah, you talking about the second half of the season, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can't say that about Fuller. Look, and the whole defense changed when he finally started.
The first half of the season, Wally was giving Fuller the business.
It was horrible. It was horrible.
He was, but that was more.
I'm honest. It was horrible.
That was more system based.
Yeah, but I can only go off of what you put on the field. Like he was horrible. But the second half of the season, I came on this pod, I was like, this dude is the best corner on this team. I kept saying it. Like
he proved that.
Yeah.
So now you draft Forbes, you draft Martin. Your first 2 draft picks are corners. It's not Fuller, it's St-Juste. And St-Juste has a problem with hands. He grabs. The difference between St-Juste and Forbes doesn't grab. Forbes is there. He touches, but he doesn't grab. St-Juste grabs. So they tried to play him in the slot last year. That didn't work. We saw that explode. And we all knew it was coming, but they did it anyway, and they saw it explode. Yeah. They had to play Bobby McCain at slot. That's when the defense got good, remember?
Yeah,
Bobby McCain would go to slot.
Bobby was good.
Defoe was on the field, and Curl was on the field. Yeah. That's how they got through until San Francisco figured it out. So St-Juste is somebody who needs to impress for me. He needs to be physical without getting flags, and be able to play on the outside and hold up. Because there's been times when he's not held up against Terry and Jahan and Curtis. So now when you go play the Eagles and Devontae Smith and AJ Green, AJ Brown, I'm sorry, all those guys are out there. Then you got CD, you have all the. You gotta have to be able to do it out there. So St-Juste is the one I've been saying, and people are like, "Oh my God, St-Juste, no, he drafted him." No, if you draft 2 corners in the first 2 rounds,
Good point,
there's
man.
a problem.
That's a good point.
And Forbes is going to play because Forbes goes for the ball.
Yeah.
Hey, I said it. Forbes is the ball hawk. He will always be around the football.
Yeah.
If you watch him play, and y'all will see it, he plays like Dion in the sense that he's looking for the ball.
Yeah.
Like there's corners who play the man, there's corners who play the ball. Forbes plays the ball. He finds the man, he plays the ball. So St-Juste is going to have to press because Forbes is going to find a way on the field. And Forbes ain't a slot guy. So Fuller, we've already seen, can't play the slot.
No, I can't.
They're trying to get Martin in to get ready to play the slot. The next best slot on the team is Danny Johnson, who will be on the team. So
I like Danny. All right, that's a good question, man.
So like now, St-Juste, where are you fitting in now? Unless Kendall goes down, or you're like, okay, Kendall's going to go down the road and leave, but then you have Martin started to play there too. So St-Juste has got to impress for me, and there's been a couple games where he's been there, but there's been a lot of games where he's got a lot of PIs. He's gotten beat. He's getting hurt. He's never healthy. I like those are concerns.
Yeah,
for me, it's St-Juste.
It's wild because I've been told like haven't been the biggest St-Juste fan, but I do give him credit for last season because he made plays last season too, right? But to your point though, Felix, I do agree with you. Like he makes plays. I think I get debated with this about St-Juste a lot. Like he's a baller, he makes plays. But to your point though, which I totally agree, I always tell folks like he's a PI machine. Like he gets PIs. Like that's what he does. He does get PIs. Like you may not think he gets beat, but he's the reason why he may not be getting beat because he's like holding a receiver. Yes. Like he's getting those penalties. You know what I'm saying? So I agree, but folks will say he's competing though. So it is. I get that.
But then part of that is he's in competing. You got to get the ball.
I agree.
You don't intercept the ball
enough to do. I agree with you. Like if you're gonna get PIs, at least pick the ball up. Totally agree with you. But see, I've always thought like for this team, because I do agree. Like if you're gonna play St-Juste, right? He's not. To me, Forbes should be starting. Like I don't even argue that. Like I think Forbes should be starting. I think that you start. Like you can start. In essence, you can start if you want to start St-Juste and Fuller. If you want to start them, start St-Juste and Forbes together. I have no issue with it. But we know in today's NFL, it's not going to be a 2 wide out set anyway. Like that's not a thing, right? So I was like, they're going to be 3. So I feel like if it's 3, you're probably going to have Forbes and Fuller on the outside and St-Juste on the inside, starting it off, right? And it's up to St-Juste to produce. I agree with you because I've heard great things about Martin. Like I've heard great things about Martin in the slots. Like I've heard amazing things about him, and you could tell me more than anything. So I do think that to your point, it's interesting that they did draft 2, a guy that would be perfect for the slot in Martin, and a guy in Forbes who's an outside dude who does fix a situation where he's a ball hawk. Fuller to a certain extent is a ball hawk. So you got like 2 dudes who kind of like ball hawks. So yeah. I want to know, that is an interesting situation that like you bringing up St-Juste as a guy that may need to step up early and often, especially in this preseason game. That does make that's interesting to me.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, drafting 2 corners, you got to look at the league that we play in. You already named CeeDee Lamb. You already named Devontae Smith. You already named AJ Brown. I mean, you got all those guys that's there in this that you have to face twice. Right, that you have to face twice in your division. So you need them because we already know the front 4 is good, right? The front 4 is solid. You need the back half to be better, and so I agree with you. St-Juste is that guy, and when Wole said it, he got to stay injury free. He has to stay injury free. He has to stay injury free to me.
And when they did that 5-1-5 special formation, they went with 3 safeties, and Percy Butler was the 5th DB. It was not St-Juste.
Wow.
I'm just calling it out.
No, I got you.
Sam and them might get me tomorrow or next time I see them when I go to pad. But nah, those 5 were Fuller, Defoe, Curl, Butler, Forbes.
Okay.
I'm just saying. And I think that 5 gives you the best versatility. That gives you the best versatility because in a pinch, Butler can come and play the slot too. So I'm just throwing it out there.
Butler's a dog. Butler's a dog.
I like Butler.
So you're talking that's an athletic 5 too. Man, when I tell you they're everywhere, they can be everywhere. So That's just a thought. And I'm kind of a little different on that than other people, but I still think that St-Juste, and I like his talent, I like his ability. He has those sort of things. Yeah. It's got to be cleaned up, and his technique is just not on the level of the technique of a Forbes, and you can just see it based off the talent of what Forbes faced every week versus St-Juste, who faced maybe one or two good receivers. Forbes was replacing good receiver week after week after week after week. Mm-hmm. So it's a different technique.
I have a player, but I'm gonna read this tweet real quick about who needs to have a good impression. Burgundy and Gold podcast. It said everybody. This team hasn't done much as a group in years, all the way from the coaches down to the players, new owners. So they all need it, and it starts on Friday. So let's effing go.
That's a common sentiment. Yeah. I don't think the last couple of years the team's been bad, but they haven't been good either.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree with that. I mean, you're 2 or 3 wins from 11 wins. You're 2 or 3 losses from 5. So I mean, but that's a lot of the NFL. Let's just be real. Like, a lot of the NFL is in that middle sort of like muck, and you have a couple teams up here and a few teams down here, but everyone else is here.
And this team has been in the conversation. I think that's what you want when you get into November, December. You want them to be in the conversation, and they've been in the conversation. Sure. The thing with Ron Rivera is, and I'm not negating the 7-9 season where they won the division. All right, that's a whole different story. But you want to be able to see them finish, and I think that's where my mindset with this team is that in the last couple of seasons they have not been able to finish late. When they had opportunities to make the playoffs, when they had opportunity to get in, they was not willing to be able to finish, and some of that was on coaching. A lot of it was on coaching. They wasn't able to finish. So
I do want to add this into, like, in terms of like impressions. You know, I make no secret about it. I like Dyami Brown. All right, I like Dyami. And I saw a clip where he did burn St-Juste too. Not on St-Juste. But so how is like Dyami? I think he does. I've heard he's had a good camp, which I'm happy for.
But he's had more than a good camp. He's had a great camp.
Okay, that's what I like to hear. That's okay. That's what I like to hear.
This is what I've told people. Dyami's running more than 9 routes. He can run routes.
Oh, I never doubted it.
The problem was Scott Turner had him in a box where he was just the deep guy. So anytime he came on the field, he's running a clear out 9. Yeah. So he had 2 touchdowns last year, both in the Titans game. Yep. On throws from Wentz on 9 routes. One was a fade from the slot. One was straight outside. That's easy to defend. But this year, like, all camp, and EB likes him. When I've pulled EB off to the side, he's brought Dyami up a couple times, and you can see him. He's running stick routes. He's running over routes, and he has a quarterback he knows who can get him the ball when it needs to be there. Awesome. So we put all those together. Dyami's having a great camp. So I've already said, I mean, the top 4 receivers are locked, and Dyami's going to have a big part of the offense, because if you actually look at Dyami, he looks 12, but he's physically more imposing than Terry, Curtis, definitely Jahan. He's bigger than you think he is, and then he can run. So he's had a great camp. He's come back bigger, stronger, faster, and he can actually run more routes than a 9 route. So he's been good, and EB is seeking him out. That was terrible English. Seeking him out on different plays, and he's actually being utilized correctly. So you're gonna like it. Exactly. I've been on the Dyami train. I'm like, hey guys, he's doing well. It's gonna be there. He's gonna be a vital part of the offense, and not just someone to come in and give Terry a break for a play.
I'm not going to be using my Michigan like bias, whatever. But I think Dyami should be able to play over Curtis Samuel a little bit. But that's okay though. You know what I mean? That's okay.
There you go. There you go. There you go.
I was about to give a Michigan guy some props too, but I don't know.
You talking about my linebacker, Khalid?
Yes.
He's surprising me. I you know what? But Khalid, because I was down on Khalid because I was told folks he ain't him. Like I said when they drafted him, I said Khalid isn't him. because I don't like how he never played. He never showed up against Ohio State. That's how I judge you. Like, you got to show up against Ohio State.
I mean,
never,
y'all didn't show up against Ohio
nah,
State
but
for like
certain
almost 2
players,
decades.
it's certain
Like,
players they show up. Everybody's don't help out. You know what I mean? Like, certain players show up, but you got to help out the players that show up. You know what I mean? He ain't show up. You know what I mean? Like, he was getting torched. But I will say that what the end of the season last year, what I saw from that last game against the Cowboys, I was so impressed with Hudson. I thought that was the best I've seen him look in the NFL. So he's carried that over to this season.
yeah, he finally looks comfortable.
Okay.
He never looked comfortable in Del Rio's system. And there's a lot of eyes, a lot of keys and stuff that he wasn't used to, the stuff he did in Michigan. If you look at the Michigan defenses and you look at what Del Rio runs, it's Del Rio's system, even though it looks basic, is very complicated. Especially in the linebacker role. It's a lot of stuff. And we saw Jamin struggle with it. We've seen other linebackers struggle in that system. So Kaliki looks good. Like, he's definitely on the team. Like, that's not a concern.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to force himself on the field. And right now, everyone, people talk about linebacker. Cody Barton looks great. Cody Barton
Does he? I'm going to ask you that too.
And he talks. So he's going to, with that line, he's going to talk more because that line's going to do a lot for him. But Cody's a good run stopper. He's decent in coverage against tight ends. I don't want him against a running back, but against tight ends, he's fine.
Okay.
But Kaliki's going to find a way out there, and he finally looks settled. Okay. And what I noticed on the second team defense, he's calling the plays. He has the green dot.
Wow.
He never had the green dot before.
Okay.
So that's letting me know that he's understanding it to a level where the coaches feel like he can call the defense. Because right now, Cody Barton's calling the defense.
That's trust, baby. That's trust right there.
Yeah.
When your linebacker can call it and he can make checks, that's trust. The coach has trust.
So Kaliki's getting that responsibility. So that should tell you what he needs to know, where he's understanding the system now. And he's starting to use his athleticism because he's still a good athlete.
No, he's very good athlete.
Still physical. So that's once the mind clicks in, he's okay. So that's why I said his leaps and bounds, and I think that Cowboys game for him, and like it did for Sam Howell, it generated confidence. Definitely. I can be here. I can play here. I can do this. And so now that I understand I can do this, let's hit this next level.
All right. So other than like being in court, how is my man Jamin looking?
Oh man,
I love Jamin, man. I like Jamin.
I hope they hired that dude, the driver. I pray they hired him. But
I like Jamin. I'm just saying, but still,
Jamin's where Jamin's need to be. Once they figured out he shouldn't be a middle linebacker, which I could have told day one, and let him be the will and let him be an athlete and run. He's fine. Okay, he is fine. So they had to figure that out, and I don't know the problem with them figuring stuff out slowly. Like the St-Juste can't play the slot, took a year. Jamin being a middle linebacker took a year to figure out that didn't work. Like there's a lot of stuff they figured out that doesn't work. But with Jamin, he's okay. He's not flashing because the defensive line is so dominant.
I heard they're so dominant.
Defensive line is so dominant, and then if the ball gets out, the secondary is so dominant.
Really?
Forbes and around the ball, and Curl looks amazing.
I heard it's good.
And
too,
Defoe is a good move. So now it's like, well, Jamin's there, but there's going to be 11 people out there. Everyone can't make the play. Like
Jamin, he needs to be in the mix though. Everybody can't make the play.
He needs to be in the mix though. I agree.
He needs to be around the ball. He can't be that guy where, okay, I know the D line is dominant. I know the safeties are coming up. Jamin, if there's 5 guys tackling one guy, Jamin need to be somewhere in the mix, in the middle, in the mix there. Because if not, he'll revert back to what he was 2 years ago.
Right. Absolutely.
Good point.
And honestly, I think once all this is finished up, I do think he's going to get a couple games.
Suspension?
Yes. You're going to have to.
By the league or by the team? By the team? By the team you're talking about?
Somebody. Because you got to think about it. He was there that night.
Yeah, I heard.
I know. And I'm not going to speculate on what they were doing. I wasn't there. Yeah. But he was on the same road with the Shazer Everett the night of that accident. And then he got caught speeding again. Yeah. That's a pattern. That's not a blip. A blip would have been one and done. That's a problem. So they've got to nip that in the bud. You just had Riggs get sentenced today to jail because that lady died.
I know.
You had the other one where the kid was going 100 some miles an hour. He was like, it's a sick dog. But even still, you got to nip this in the bud.
Early. Yeah. Good point,
And
man.
with this whole new, you got this new momentum of the whole new ownership and all that stuff. You've got to set the tone. Like, you can't have that nonsense. You just remember, just get over Monte Nicholson.
Yeah, that's true.
You got a lot of knuckleheads in your past. You got to
nip it about early.
So somebody's got to give them a couple games. I don't know who. The league, the Commanders.
I haven't heard any chatter about it though. That's wild. But that's a good point though. That's a good point though. It is because that there is he was there.
He was there. Like, people forget he was there that night.
Yeah, he was definitely there. I mean, it's wild, man. It's the season. The preseason game is gonna be interesting. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna be looking into everything that you said. I'm actually gonna be looking for some of these like players or whatever. I ain't gonna lie to you. But Felix, man, thanks for being on. How can folks catch you on social media? How can check out all your content for Fox? Let them know, man. Just let them know.
Yeah, man. You follow me on whatever. What is it? Twitter, X? What is it today? Whatever it is.
It's X now, right? It's X. I'm about to jump on thread, man.
We like Des Bryant, man. We
gotta do DMX or X.
DMX. I'm about to go to thread, man.
I'm on threads too.
Me too. I'm on threads. I'm about to.
Les Commander on those two. D Commander on X, whatever it is. All my work's on 1340 Fox Sports. I'll be at most of the games. I'm doing some more travel. God willing, I'm gonna go to Atlanta. I'm gonna go to.
Oh, I'll be there too. I'll be in Atlanta.
I'm trying to go to Atlanta. Trying to go to SoFi because I want to see it. But I'm around the team a lot, so follow me on there. Interact with me. Ask a question. I look for things that the others don't look for. No narratives. Just the straight content. That's what I do. So appreciate you as always, my brother.
Appreciate you, bro.
Yeah, man. Anytime.
All right, man. Hey, thanks. Thank you, Felix, for being on. Again, his Twitter handle is it's X, right? We're doing X. We're doing like the X, right?
Just throw up the X, dog. Just throw up the
X. All right, I'm saying we have X at B Commander 2407. That's B Commander 2407. Hey, subscribe. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, iTunes, and Google Podcasts. Just search All Burgundy and go Errrything. Also tweet us at ABG_Errrything and hit us up on IG at ABG_Errrything. And like our All Burgundy and Gold Errrything Facebook page. I said it earlier. I mean this. Do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. All right. Again, thanks Felix for being on. You, and always thank the homie Glenn for just joining, being a co-host, the great co-host that he is. Anyway, you've been listening to All Burgundy and Gold Errrything, powered by the Urban Sports Scene at Fox Sports Radio 96.9 FM and 1340 AM, Hopewell, Virginia, for ages. Yeti deuces, a big mega. Lead us out, big homie.
To the swag.